to the ASMR version episode of the Battle Bros podcast.
ASMR, as in relax, 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 relax.
You suck, dude. We had a good thing going there and you messed it up. You done fucked up, Aaron. No, I'm just kidding. What's going on, everybody?
Have you ever watched one of those ASMR videos, though?
Yeah, they're interesting. Some of them, it's like
yeah,
okay,
that's
and
literally
others,
like they literally do stupid crap like that. Like
I like the ones where they're making fun of the ASMR. It's all sarcasm. It's like Mercedes, and then you got this other guy comes up. He's like Humvee. And he hits like the front of the grill and stuff. It's freaking hilarious. Yeah. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the latest and greatest episode of the Battle Bros podcast with your host Mac, myself, and this is Alamo over here. Hey, y'all! What a crazy week it has been. Hopefully everybody, everybody's kind of catching their breath and getting their feet back under them from Hurricane Helene. That was last week. That was insane. I mean, it was more powerful than Katrina. It was a Category 4 storm.
Yeah,
higher wind threshold. It was like 140, whereas Katrina was only a Category 3 with 125 mile an hour winds. Death tolls up above 200. I mean, it's just, and the damage up into Georgia and Carolina is just insane.
Yeah, hey, the rain that it dumped on North Carolina just was ridiculous. Like,
they're not ready for that kind of stuff.
And they had a dam bust. There's a reason why it's so flooded up in those mountains right now. There was a dam that busted apparently, and it caused all of that flooding along with the surge from that rain that came down from the hurricane. It's almost as if it like waited until it got over like, you know, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, all those places before it just whoosh and dropped everything down on them. It's freaking nuts.
Well, not just that too, but also, I mean, like, because I think it might have something to do with that. I'm not certain of the exact details, but they also said that I think it was Interstate 40 for a certain stretch in Carolina doesn't exist anymore. Google Maps deleted it from their maps because it's just not there. It's going to take months to fix. Like, it's going to cause a lot of issues because it's one of the few roads I think that's in and around Asheville. So, did your sister Cynthia lives up there, right? Is she okay? She fare out okay?
She lives on she lives in North Kakalaki, but she lives in the east side.
She lives close to the seaboard.
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of, sort of, but it's like she's still inland, but you know, she's further to the east, so she didn't really get all that rain surge that, you know, most of the west side of the state did, which, you know, thank you, Lord. So right. It's a good thing. Mom and Madi did lose power though, and they're in South Kakalaki, so I don't know if they've got it back yet.
That's right.
But they definitely lost power because I guess a bunch of the trees fell down because of all the rain. And they are in the mountains too. So, you know, go figure.
Well, it's just insane. I mean, to think about all the damage that was incurred, like the western part of Pinellas County was just absolutely schwacked. I mean, it was just insane. All the sand from like the beaches had gotten washed all the way, you know, several hundred yards in some places, all the way up onto Gulf Boulevard. It was like Gulf Boulevard was under. It was like a sandbox. It was just insane. It was like crazy. It was, you know, somebody I went to high school with, it was a year ahead of me. She posted, you know, she's like, "This is the price of living in paradise," and their house was like 4 feet off the ground, and they had 3 feet of water inside of their house. It's like, so it's pretty wild. So yeah, this was no small thing that we endured. So it's
and the government just decided to give all that money over to cities that were dealing with migrants coming in, and the FEMA money is gone because I'm not going to go there. I think I did kind of, sort of, but
But
your government,
wait,
your government loves you, people. Oh,
there's more.
remember. There's no better message than I'm here from the government and I'm here to help.
I'm going to refrain from saying something sarcastic that will probably get us kicked off of our YouTube channel. So,
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah. So, anyway, so yeah, it's been a crazy week. Hopefully, everybody's doing a lot better. The one thing that has just been amazing to see is just everybody, especially, I don't really watch a lot of the news, but like watching people come together and helping out others. Like down here in
Damn
Florida,
right, man.
especially like seeing all the
Hell
Floridians
yes.
kind of band together and help each other out,
Um,
clean up other people's houses. Brian and I went down and we took a drive earlier this last week. We went down to Davis Island and just to see like all of the stuff down there. Like everybody just had like all the wet, damp stuff that they had, that was totally lost. They just kind of put it out. So like you're driving around and it's almost like you're in like a third world country because, I mean, you're in a very affluent neighborhood of the city of Tampa, but you're seeing all of like this debris and stuff on the side of the road. It's just like, what?
Yeah. Speaking of us here in
here.
Florida, by the way, freaking Uncle Ronnie D decided to go ahead and send, divisions from our National Guard here up into North Kakalaki to help because he saw nobody else was.
Yeah,
So
I was actually just before we went on the air, I was reading a post from Tim Kennedy, and he was talking about, and like that's kind of something I wanted to discuss real quick. Like, it's amazing to see. So there's this guy I've been watching a little bit on YouTube. His name is
that there's better response from us,
yeah,
as opposed to the federal government. Yeah, but anyway, I'll let you finish. Sorry,
I'm getting there. Like, put it back, put on the back burner on simmer, dude. We got all night. We're good. Just chillax. There's a guy who's got a channel. I guess his name is Cletus McFarland. I don't know if you've heard of him or not, but he's kind of like just one of these dudes, kind of has a fun channel and stuff. But he
Cletus
actually,
McFarland? That actually sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's got a mullet. He's kind of got like a mullet. He seems like a cool dude and stuff. But anyway, so he has a MD-500 series helicopter. I want to say it's probably close. I think it might be like a 530. I'm not sure the model number, but him and his wife, they live here in Florida somewhere, and him and his wife like went up there, and they were just flying around, and they were just like, they told this amazing story on one of their videos where they're like, this lady.
So, how long did they fly their helicopter up there? Like, how long do you think that took?
I think cruising speed on one of those helicopters, I think it's usually I don't know. I'm not, for the aviation buffs out there, don't come at me. I don't know. I'm going to say I don't know.
Think come at us, bro. I'm kidding. No, sorry.
Anyway, I think he was saying that they were cruising at about 130 knots over land. Their land speed was about 130 knots.
130 knots. So that's got to be what, about 100 and
I have no idea.
About 100 and
look it up. 130 knots.
15 miles an hour?
How many? I don't know. Look it up. But anyway, so they flew their ship up there, and they were actually just kind of like flying around and just trying to help people out because people are in some very mountainous areas up there. There was this one lady who put a post on social media. She's like, I have a child here that doesn't have any formula. I have my grandmother who is like close to 100. She's on oxygen. We need some help. They saw that and were able to get them out, put them in the back of their airship because it's got, you think you can put like three or four people in the back or something. I think 3. So like he's flying the thing in the left seat. His wife is kind of like looking around because there's power lines everywhere, all that kind of stuff. They land, they get people out of there, and they get them to safety, like at a firehouse or something in town and whatnot. It was just like, and that's been like one of the big stories is like all of these people that are private pilots are just coming around and like getting up there and helping people out. And
that, yeah, man,
that story, and then the picture that I saw,
kind of shit that like when I hear it, man, it brings fucking tears to my eyes because it's like, there's not enough. There's not enough people helping each other, and especially in our country. There's so much of a clear divide right now, and there's not enough people like just you know genuinely given of themselves from the bottom of their hearts, you know what I mean, to everybody anymore,
Yeah.
and it's when it's genuine and it's coming from people that really mean well, it just
And they're not
warms
even
my heart.
asking for anything in return. They're just trying to be good, dare I say, good Christian people or good, just religiously based people that are just like, hey, I'm going to do unto my fellow man that I would want them to do unto me and stuff.
Damn
And
right.
that's probably not quoting scripture or anything. Again, not an expert. So, but that, and the other thing that I saw related to the hurricane was they had a picture of the southeastern United States at night, and you had all of these lights on in like the populated areas. So like you see like Tampa and Lakeland, and then you see Orlando, Miami, obviously, and then you just see like up in the Big Bend area of Florida, you just see like this big swath that's just black,
Black.
and it just goes all the way up Georgia into the Carolinas and stuff. You're just like, holy shit, like it's
Damn.
insane. So,
Yeah, man.
but yeah, it's definitely one of those things where you know like I was pretty fortunate. I think the power flickered a couple times at my house.
Yeah.
There was a lot of wind, especially since they're doing some construction out near my house. There used to be a good patch of like wooded area, probably like 100 meters behind my house and stuff. They're putting in a neighborhood for Habitat for Humanity or something. So now I've just got this giant wind channel just going right towards the house and shit. And so that kind of made for some nerves and stuff, overnight, Wednesday or Thursday night, whichever night it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, but a lot of rain, a lot of wind, a lot of nerves. But we were fortunate. Thank goodness, nothing happened. So hopefully everybody out there is kind of, like I said, starting to get some relief if you need it. Um, just this is a time where you lean on your neighbors, your friends, your family, all that good stuff.
Oh, I actually posted the GoFundMe that they made for hurricane. I think they've already reached well, by yesterday they almost reached they've reached almost $5 million by yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, I think I posted it on my Facebook. I might actually share the link in like the description later or something. I don't know, but any little bit helps.
Yeah. It's like we put all of our petty differences aside. We come together as neighbors and as friends and family, and like
Because that's what you do.
that's
That's
what
what
you
you
got
got
to
to
do.
do,
So,
man.
since we're talking about since we've talked about that, let's get into the nitty gritty of the show. If you caught our show last week, last week was episode 089. We were talking about the subject of humility. That was our first episode back for season 5. We did it on a Thursday night because of some scheduling conflicts. Hopefully, you saw that. If not, you can go to our YouTube channel, check it out there. You can also get links to all of our other social media um, channels, whether it's or X, Instagram, all that good stuff.
Or if you're
You
checking
can.
us out here on the YubTub, you can actually click all those links right in our show
That's
description.
what I just said. If you were listening, you twit. Fuck. I don't want to. What the fuck am I gonna do with you, man? So anyway, before we get into,
ADHD, I'm sorry.
yeah, just sit there and look pretty and shut up. Anyway, before we get into the topic for this week, we've got a little bit of some topics. There was a pretty big story, not a big story, but it was significant enough we wanted to put on here. Country music singer and former Army veteran Chris Christopherson passed away at the age of 88, unfortunately. He was famous for a pretty storied um, career in country music. Um, but before that, he was in the military. So he joined the Army and commissioned as second lieutenant, eventually reaching the rank of captain. He became a helicopter pilot after receiving flight training at Fort Rucker, which is now called Fort Novosel in Alabama. Also completed Ranger School. During the 60s, he was stationed in West Germany as a member of the 8th Infantry Division. During this time, he resumed his music career and formed a band. In 65, after his tour in West Germany ended, he was given an assignment to teach English literature at West Point, which he decided to turn down and leave the Army because he wanted to pursue songwriting. This caused a little bit of backlash with his family and whatnot, and it's not sure if they reconciled. But yeah, I mean, pretty cool story. If you haven't heard the song, there's a Big and Rich song called "The 8th of November." Before that song, there is an intro talking about the 173rd Airborne on Warzone D in Vietnam in 1965. Chris Christopherson is actually the one that's narrating that whole. He's reading that whole prompt, talking about how 48 American soldiers lost their lives. One of the guys that was there, a medic, actually was the first living black man to be awarded the Medal of Honor for actions in combat since the Spanish-American War, I believe. But pretty cool story. I want to say he's in the Ranger Hall of Fame. I'm not certain, but it could be. One of the cool stories, though, and I was sharing this with Alma the other night, one of the cool stories about Chris Christopherson was the fact that he was very determined to work with Johnny Cash, that he stole an Army helicopter, commandeered it, and landed the helicopter on Johnny Cash's lawn, and then walked up to his house with a demo tape. But unfortunately, Johnny Cash wasn't home. It's like, that sounds like some Ranger shit to do. I need to meet this guy. I can fly a helicopter. Let's just, if they didn't want me to take it, they shouldn't have put it here. So not saying anything bad against Ranger, but just that freaking fire in the belly. It's just like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go do this. So, but he passed away, like I said, at the age of 88. Definitely a very storied individual. He was very popular for country music. He was one of the, besides his solo career, he was very famous for being in a group called the Highwaymen with Johnny Cash, with Willie Nelson, and then also Waylon Jennings, I believe. I'm not 100% certain. Let me look. Yeah, here we go. The Highwaymen. Yeah, Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, Chris Christopherson, and Willie Nelson. Yep. So that was that group, and it's like some of that like old like folk country stuff that's like really really good nowadays. So, but yeah. So rest in peace, Chris Christopherson, Captain Christopherson, Army Ranger and pilot. Thank you for your service. So there was that. I didn't find any other news stories. So let's get into our topic for this evening now that we're already 20 minutes into the damn show. So this is episode 090 of the Battle Bros podcast. Tonight we're going to talk about this subject. What are you laughing at? What did I do?
I'm laughing at you, Shun.
Oh, just shut up then. So again, for episode 090 of the Battle Bros podcast, tonight we're going to be talking about the subject of blame. This was something that we kind of were discussing a while back. We're doing a couple of shows kind of like in a series that kind of all relate together. So, but blame kind of came up. We were talking about it earlier in the week, and I was like, yeah, this is something we should definitely bring up, because blame can be a real bastard. Like, it can be one of those things where it just really kind of fucks with you. It's one of those things where like it can be very, very debilitating. So let's discuss blame. So blame, the definition is, blame is defined as the responsibility for a fault or wrong, or to assign responsibility for a fault or wrong. So basically you're kind of giving the reason why something didn't happen the way it was supposed to happen, yada, yada, yada. So if we're thinking about, the military and veteran community, one of the things that we were discussing that came up earlier was the topic of like blaming yourself in the, hypothetically speaking, if you know, are a leader and you send one of your guys out and they end up getting hurt or getting killed in action, you know, that's definitely going to be blame that's going to be, you know, stick with you for a long time. That you hopefully would eventually, you know, if you needed to, get therapy or get some help or assistance of some type for. Alma, I'm going to kind of let you kind of expand on that, since that was kind of your talking point for this whole subject. So I'll let you kind of chime in here, please.
Yeah. What you find, like, I know I actually kind of went through it a little bit myself. And I think well, of course, we've talked about Paul before. There was a spat, I would say, for a little bit. Given that, you know, I know you and me, we're talking about within months of each other. And myself and Paul, literally within months of each other, were in the same unit. And the unit ended up going to Afghanistan. And I remember seeing him in like Facebook posts and stuff like that. Like he's at 3-2 Cav, this, that, and the other. I remember writing him like, "Oh shoot, dude, like you're in my unit. You're in the unit I was in, you know." And he was like, "Oh yeah, cool. You were here, blah blah blah." I was like, "Yeah, I went with them over to Iraq, and you know, whatever." And I remember the shock of like finding out, like, you know, crap, Paul died in Afghanistan. And, you know, I don't know, man. I just felt, you know, you already, you know, I already felt like kind of, it's weird because like this whole self-blame thing kind of, you know, also kind of trickles into guilt for leaving the guys behind, you know what I mean? Um but I remember, like I said, like for a small spat, like thinking like, damn, like I left the unit, Paul came in and fucking died.
Yeah, and I can't, obviously I understand, I hear, you know, you said that story a bunch of times. I understand your feelings behind it. I just am looking at it from the outside. It's like he, you know, I think there's a little bit more emotional attachment because it's somebody we went to school with.
Yeah.
You know, somebody we knew. I mean, when you hear about the, you
Yeah.
know, when they have the names of, you know, KIAs and stuff, you know, back in the day, it's like you hear a bunch of names, like you don't know those, you don't know those people, you don't know faces,
Yeah.
but like when it's somebody you know, it's just like, fuck, dude, that it just hits different. You know, it's like when we found out about John and stuff. But at the same time, you know,
Yeah.
I can't tell you how to feel. I, you know, as your friend, as your brother, I can't say this is how you should feel. But at the same time, I look at it like, yes, we're mourning the loss of of an awesome, just an awesome young person, just wonderful. He would give you the shirt off his back. He was always very happy, just great dude. I mean, just full of life and stuff. And you know, when he was killed, that was very sad, obviously. But like, you didn't have any control over that, dude. He just happened to end up in your unit. Like, you know, people say, you know, the big army is a small world because like you find that guys that you've met in passing were somewhere similar to this or to that and all this kind of crap, yada 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 yada. So, um,
Yeah.
you know, I
And
mean,
you know,
it's,
you know, I think a lot of people have explained that part to me, you know, and you know, it doesn't. I've gotten over it, you know, since then. Um, but there's definitely moments where, you know, it does still bother me. You know what I mean?
sure. Yeah, yeah.
You
That's
know,
actually
and you know, I try
something.
not to think about it. You know, so,
Well,
but you know, it is what it
that's
is.
actually something that Brian and I were talking about today because I told you I was hanging out with him earlier today. But like it's funny, you know, how
Yeah.
you go back. We were talking last night before our meeting and stuff, and we were talking about this one individual that Brian had served with. I know who this person is. You know, I don't want to say his name because that's, I'm not trying to put anybody on blast, but you know, like, you
Yeah.
know, you just think about one little thing, and it just takes, and you just kind of go down like the mental rabbit hole about like I really fucking can't stand that person, or that was a really bad damn day. Like, you know, it's just you think about one little thing here or there, whether it's, and it doesn't even have to be an experience from the military. It can just be something from like way back then. And the next thing you know, you're just like, you realize you've been sitting there in the chair or something, and you kind of lost like 10, 15 minutes because you were just like fixating on something for a little bit. Not in an unhealthy way, but just you kind of jog down memory lane a little bit mentally. You're just
Yeah.
like, whoa. So, but yeah, I mean, I totally get it, dude.
And
It's
when
like,
you
you know,
have when when you have the mental condition I have, like ADHD, it's like it's like 4 times fucking worse, man. Like
sure.
the way things like that hit you, your brain, because like if you have a moment of quiet, it just hits your brain in a different freaking way, and you're just like, oh yeah, by the way, bam, and you're just like, and you're just stuck on that thought. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it just and it's like, oh yeah, blah 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 blah. Rub, 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 rub. Oh yeah, just blah 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 blah. Rub, 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 rub. Kind of like a, like that broken record, or like the busted or the scratch CD. Yeah, something like that.
Yep. Yeah. Hmm.
Hmm.
I get
Yeah,
that.
and it
So,
sucks. Yeah,
oh, for sure. For sure. But yeah, I mean, so you know, that's kind of the blame. And this was kind of interesting how this is one of the few times I can remember where we're talking about something, a similar subject. We're talking about the same damn thing actually, but just different, completely different avenues or different, you know, um, ways of looking at it. So like with mine,
yeah,
I look
absolutely.
at I looked at the fact of, you know, with blame, it kind of makes me think of several times in my military career where you've had leaders that have just, you know, because listen, if you're a leader, you have to understand that you get the good and you get the bad. If you're a squad leader or a team leader, if your group does great, they make you look like a fucking rock star. If they fail, that lands on your desk. You know, freaking
Yeah,
for your eyes only, stamped right there. So it's kind of one of those things that it's just intrinsically linked to leadership because good, bad, or other, it's on you. You get the, hey, you did a great job, awesome. Your team failed to meet the tasks, the standard, the mission to complete the objective. That lands on your desk. So what are we going to do about
like
it?
me and Mac like to say, there's a fine line between leadership and leader shit.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So, and again, you know, with just certain types of individuals, certain types of leaders, they just will pass the blame off on other things, whether it's their subordinates, whether
Yep.
it's circumstances, whatever the case may be. It's they are, whether they're just trying to make themselves look good, they're just incapable of accepting blame for something that did not happen while
Yeah.
they were in charge. So that's kind of the way I looked at it. We're going to dive into that a little bit here when we start
And
reading
there's
a
the
couple
flip side
articles
to
and shit.
that too, though. That's the thing. There's the flip side to that where, you have the guy that you just talked about where they don't want to accept blame or responsibility at all. Then there's the ones that accept all of it, like even when it could probably not even be their fault, which I think is a interesting contrast.
Yeah. Well, it's just like whether it's a personality flaw or just a character trait. You know, they're just like, it's like when you have people and you're talking about, hey, this didn't get done, they just automatically go like, I'm sorry. It's like, no, we're not passing blame here. You know,
Yeah.
and that to me, I feel like is a little bit more sincere when it's like, I'm sorry, but hey, you're not being faulted for it, or you're not being blamed for it, but let's just work on fixing it. And then you have
Right.
somebody, and I've had this happen where you look at somebody like this did not happen. You signed on this being done. What's going to happen? Oh, okay. And it's just like, that shit drives me nuts. It's like, okay, cool. We're going to play, stupid games, win stupid prizes kind of shit. So, so we found quite a few articles that we're going to talk about. That first one's a long one though. Did you want to go over all of that, or just kind of pick and choose what you wanted to go over? What was that going to look like?
Oh, the psychiatry one? Is that the one you're talking about?
Check. Because if we sat and read that whole thing, we'll be here for 30 minutes.
I was gonna say, yeah. We can skip that one only because I thought it was a great one, but then I realized, like, when I was reading through it, I was just like, this is great, and it's great research. However, yeah. So we can go ahead and skip that one.
Okay, no worries. I'm gonna go and close that tab out then. So one of the other articles that we found, this is kind of what happens, folks. We just find a bunch of stuff that's very pertinent to the discussion, and then hey, sometimes last minute we're like, yeah, well, we don't need to really use that. That's a lot. So, but we did find this other article, and this was kind of what I was going off of. With my whole avenue of looking at this, people that don't take responsibility. My microphone. People that don't take responsibility. So, this is an article from GE Global English Editing. It's geediting.com. It's from August 27th of this year. And basically, sorry, my phone's doing goofy shit over here on the side. It's like just started lightening out like crazy. The article is called "People Who Never Take Responsibility in Life and Shift Blame Usually Display These 9 Behaviors." So we're gonna kind of like hit the important stuff on this one. So let's go. So, ever meet someone who always seems to have an excuse ready at hand, deflecting responsibility like a masterful dodgeball player? We've all encountered individuals who excel at shirking accountability. But what lies beneath this pattern of behavior? What drives someone to evade responsibility with such finesse? The truth is, these 9 telltale behaviors offer a window into the complex psyche of those who refuse to own up to their actions. In this article, we'll explore the traits that define those who perpetually dodge accountability in life. Okay? So, number 1, they're masters of deflection. When confronted with their mistakes, these individuals exhibit a remarkable talent for evading accountability, deflecting blame in every conceivable direction but their own. In their narrative, fault is a commodity to be distributed generously to others, never landing squarely on their shoulders. Consider a workplace scenario, a collaborative project where each team member is tasked with specific responsibilities. As the project deadline looms, it becomes apparent that one member, let's say Emily, if your name's Emily, I'm sorry, it's a wonderful name, but you're for this scenario, you are that person, has failed to fulfill
subject number 1.
Exactly. In a progress meeting, when Emily is questioned about her incomplete task, she swiftly shifts the blame onto her colleague. She asserts that she couldn't fulfill her duties due to a lack of information from another team member and faults the project manager for unclear instructions. Through this blame shifting, Emily deftly sidesteps responsibility, refusing to acknowledge her own shortcomings and accountability in meeting her assigned obligations. Number 2, this one is kind of pertinent to what's going on in the world today.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
They always play the victim. It's almost uncanny how certain individuals always seem to find themselves on the receiving end of life's injustices. In my own life, I've come across people who make a habit of playing the victim. I had a colleague once, let's call him Mark. No matter what went wrong at work, Mark was always the innocent party. And I say that with quotation marks in the air with my fingers. Innocent party. It was either someone else's mistake, a miscommunication, or just plain bad luck. But here's what I noticed. Every time Mark played the victim, it prevented him from looking at his own actions and seeing where he could improve. He was so busy blaming others that he missed out on valuable opportunities for growth. So, watch out for those who consistently portray themselves as a victim. It's often a sign that they were avoiding responsibility for their part in the situation. Here's another doozy, folks. Number 3, they've got selective memory. Memory is a fascinating thing.
I didn't do that.
While most of us remember things as they happen, some people seem to recall events in a way that suits their narrative. Politicians. Those who avoid responsibility often conveniently forget the details that put them at fault. They remember the parts where others messed up, but somehow their own mistakes slip their minds. Increasingly, research suggests that our memories aren't as reliable as we think. Every time we recall an event, we're not remembering the event itself, but the last time we remembered it. This gives us room for manipulation and distortion over time. This selective memory serves as a shield for those shifting blame, protecting them from the reality of their own shortcomings. So if someone's story seems to change in their favor over time, it might be a sign that they're dodging responsibility. Number 4. Now this one was an important one, and this one really resonated with me because, let me just read it first and then we'll talk about it afterwards. Take a quick break. They lack empathy. Number 4. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It is a crucial skill for forming meaningful relationships, and it plays a significant role in accepting responsibility. If someone has made a mistake that affects you, an empathetic person would recognize their error and apologize for any inconvenience caused. They understand your viewpoint and accept their role in causing distress. However, those who consistently shift blame often lack this quality. For them, it's about self-preservation, not understanding how their actions impact others. They're more focused on protecting their image than acknowledging their mistake. So listen, the purpose of this show is for us to get better as a community. The veteran community, military, first responders, or just people in fucking general, all right? But one of the most, and I don't mean to shift this to talking about something related to me, but like one of the things that makes me most proud of like kids nowadays, like especially with like my daughter, especially with your boys, Alamo, is the fact that they have empathy. They can try to understand and put themselves in the other person's shoes and see it through their eyes. Mm-hmm. Very much like how when we had Burnham in high school, he always tried to give you both sides of the conversation or the argument so you could see it from both points of view. And he even said, there's one time I will not do that, and that's when he was talking about his experiences in Vietnam, because there was he told some stories from his own
crazy stuff,
viewpoint, crazy shit, right? And it's just the kind of stuff where you're just like, it's heavy, but when you're 17 or in a high school and you're hearing this kind of, you're just like, fuck, dude, like it's a lot. So when I see people,
what is it the kids in the 80s used to say? Oh man, this is heavy.
Yeah. It was 2002, and I was saying that because it's just like, fuck, like it was some wild stuff. But it just makes me. It kind of gives me a little bit of hope in humanity and the future generations when you see younger kids nowadays having empathy, because like it just goes to show you, man, like they really do want to try to be good people and be good people growing forward and all that kind of stuff. So
heck yeah, man.
And to quote Forrest Gump, and that's all I got to say
about that.
Number 5, they're quick to criticize others. Ever noticed how some people are lightning fast when it comes to pointing out the faults of others? Yet, when it comes to their own mistakes, they're not quite so keen-eyed. Those who never take responsibility often find it easier to criticize others. It's a way of diverting attention from their own shortcomings. Got some schmutz on my screen there. If they're busy pointing out what others did wrong, maybe no one will notice their own mistakes. This constant criticism can be exhausting for those around them. It creates a negative environment and hinders productive
So
communication. What you got?
I've known people like that. I mean, I've known people that, obviously they lack empathy, right? There's plenty
Right.
of bosses out there that are, as we like to call, shitheads. Um
We don't throw any punches on this show, people. This is Battle Bros way.
That's right.
This is the way.
And like my thing is like, it, it's like if you like I wish I had a better picture.
Spit it out, dude.
Like, well, no, because you think about like I was gonna say, like, if you look at the picture here, and I was like, oh wait, no, it's not a great picture. But no, like, my thing is like the 9 times out of 10, the people that are willing to like, criticize people a lot, they don't usually have a very good a good self-reflection, impulse.
Yeah.
Anything and everything I do, I tend to kind of be like, oh well, shit, I fucked that up. Come on, Manny, what the hell? I'm not gonna throw names out, but I've known plenty of people that have that key trait where they're like, they're the first ones to jump on you about something and criticize every single little thing that you do. But the moment that they mess up, oh, it wasn't me.
Oh,
And or it's just like a whatever.
Dude, and
Like,
when it's on them, it's a different set of rules. You can be fucked up, but I can't. I'm
exactly. And
kind of reminds me of like Xerxes and stuff from 300. I'm a lenient god. I only ask that you
I am
be
a god. You will find I am kind.
I just made you bleed there, buddy.
Jackass. But yeah, like those people that are like overcritical, I've noticed like it, and it's cool. Like I liked this article when we found it because like I noticed how like everything correlated all together. Like the people that do that kind of crap the most are the ones that lack even the smallest iota of empathy. Like you're not like you don't have the ability to see from the perspective of the people that you're criticizing. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't get inside their head and be like, huh, like what were you thinking? And then think like, maybe you did it because of this, or maybe you did it because of this. What is it? You know what I mean? Like
listen, man, one of the side effects that I've learned from being in as a behavior therapist for the last, going on almost 8 years, is sometimes that analytical side of your brain doesn't shut off. You're just always, I can understand how people like on the outside looking in, like they think, oh, you're always analyzing people. I'm not trying to. You just kind of pick up on certain patterns of behavior and stuff.
Neither am I. It just happens.
It just happens. So, like, I swear to you, like, if you could just have, like, like if you're looking out at somebody, if you had like a HUD, like a heads up display, like a fighter pilot, or like somebody, like when you're playing a video game and you've got like all the pertinent information here, I swear to you, like this would pop up and go, here's the 9 things of people that are shirking blame. Check. Like, well, they checked only 5 of the 9 boxes. It's just like it's insane, man. And it's like one of the things. So at another job I had, I ran a business up in Brooksville. It was a training business, and whenever we did training iterations, we would always go to the customers and we would do an AAR, an after action review, and we'd break it down. And it's like, okay, what did you do? Give me 1 sustain and 1 improve. And just having the ability, that's so important to look at it and go, having that self-diagnosis, so to speak, to say, hey, this is something I think I did good. And I would give, some feedback. I'm like, yeah, you did good, or it could, I would maybe tweak this a little bit, but you're still focusing on the positive. But to turn around and go, this is something I need to get better at. Like, I can tell you right now, something I would, like just throwing a random one out there, like something I can get better at is driving a stick shift. I've driven a stick shift in freaking years, man. Like, I know I can get better at that, but I'm looking at it going, what can I do to improve?
Yeah.
It's like you also hear that saying, judge yourself before you judge others, from the good
Yeah.
book. It's like
If the
that kind of goes
military,
along with all this shit.
yeah, if the military has taught us anything, it's there's always something to learn. There's always something to learn.
Oh yeah.
So, you can't you which is why like I try to be I try not to be as critical because I know well I'm still constantly learning something. So if I'm still constantly learning something, someone else has got this other person has got to be constantly learning something. It's something that I've had to you know really have to learn about my relationship between me and my son. Like I'm teaching him how to be a grown man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you like reflect, like I have to learn how to not be as critical with him in certain situations because,
Oh yeah.
you know, hey, you were that age too, stupid. And I have to, and when I say that to myself, like internally, I'm like, you know
It kind
what?
of it gives
You're
you that
right.
it gives you that opportunity to take a slight pause and kind of maybe just tweak your plan of attack for how you're going to go and have that
Right.
teachable moment. And that's dude,
Yes.
that's fucking crucial, man. Like that's
Yeah.
so important. I
And
I
that's the
have to do
thing.
that with my daughter too. Like, try to get her to do stuff and it's just like okay, so this is
Hmm.
how I learned it. I got to make sure I'm not coming off like a fucking crazy wild person, all that kind of stuff. So,
Yep.
but anyway, so let's get back to this.
Rolling
So, number
along.
6, they're resistant to change. Life is a constant journey of growth and change. We learn from our mistakes,
Mhm.
make adjustments, and try to become better versions of ourselves. Most people. But for those who never take responsibility, this journey can be a difficult one. These individuals often resist change. It's easier for them to stay in their comfort zones, repeating the same patterns and making the same mistakes, rather than face the discomfort of admitting they were wrong. This resistance isn't just harmful to them, but also to those around them. It can lead to strained relationships and missed opportunities for growth. It's heartbreaking to see someone you care about stuck in a cycle of blame and denial, unable
Mhm.
to move forward. And that's not just the military, that is life in general, folks. Whether
Hell
it's,
yes.
you're in a relationship with somebody and they don't get any better, they're just kind of doing the same stuff to get by. It sucks. It's
Mhm.
awful. It can be very taxing on you physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. It's awful. And that kind of
Yep.
goes along with number 7. They avoid difficult conversations. Nobody enjoys uncomfortable discussions, but they're a necessary part of life. They help
Damn
us
right there
address
are.
issues, clear misunderstandings, and grow as individuals. There's that other one, growth. I remember a friend of mine who would always dodge difficult conversations. Whether we had a disagreement or there was an issue that needed addressing, she'd go silent or change the subject. It was as if she'd hoped the problem would disappear if we didn't talk about it. But avoiding these
Hmm.
conversations only leads to unresolved issues and strained relationships. It's a clear sign of someone unwilling to face their mistakes and take responsibility. Quick admin halt. We're going to break this one
It
down too.
also leads to bitterness.
Yes. So they made a good, and what I liked about this one too was they made a good point about having, the whole difficult conversation. So like, I obviously live with my mother. I have my daughter here. And sometimes when I'm not here, they bump heads a little bit. They
Hmm.
disagree on things. And there will be times when my daughter says or acts a certain way. And I'm not saying all the time. I'm not trying to say that she's perfect. I'm not trying to say that she's not. But there are times when she gets upset, kind of is quick to say things in a way that maybe could have said a little bit different. So, when I talk to her and we kind of break it down afterwards, I'll just be like, hey, let's do you think you could have maybe said it a little bit differently? She's like, yeah. And she kind of sees maybe the error in her ways, but there's been a couple times where she's like, can I write grandma a note and give it to her? I'm like, no. I said, that's kind of a cop out, and you should probably, it would mean more to her, and it would be better for you if you just went up and just apologized
Address
face
it
to face.
face to
Don't,
face. Yeah.
and that also kind of made me think about, I think it was Mike Tyson that had this quote, is like, too many people nowadays don't understand the equalizing power of getting in someone's face and then getting punched in the face for being a jerk. Everybody sits here behind their keyboard. They're just little keyboard ninjas and keyboard tough guys and internet tough guys and all that crap. It's like, have the conversation face to face.
Yeah.
I've made plenty of mistakes, and it's just like, sit there and admit you're wrong. I did something one time to a coworker, and I was like, hey, I realize what I did was incorrect. I apologize. I will do my best to make sure that doesn't happen again. Please, allow me to get better next time. So, yeah. Okay. Number 8. They're masters of this one. Every single one of these, like, just kind of was just like, It's like when you got somebody, you got a hype. It's like you're reading this article and you got a hype man behind you going, yeah.
It's like, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. All that stuff. Justification is they're masters of justification. Justification is a powerful tool in the hands of those avoiding responsibility. Excuse me. They have an explanation for everything, a reason why it's never their fault.
Never.
These individuals can turn any situation around to appear as the innocent party, the victim. Oh, I think we're going back to a point previously made. Mm-hmm. Their mistakes are always due to external factors, unforeseen circumstances, other people's actions, or just plain bad
luck.
While it's natural for anyone to justify their actions, occasionally consistent justification can be a red flag. It's a way for them to avoid owning up to their mistakes and shift the blame on their others. And then this one, kind of what I was just talking about, they're reluctant to apologize. Apologizing is one of the most sincere and direct ways of accepting responsibility. It acknowledges that we've done something wrong, and it shows respect for the people we've wronged. However, individuals who shift blame often struggle with this. Saying, I'm sorry, means admitting that they were at fault, and that is something they tend to avoid. A reluctance to apologize, even when it's clear they've made a mistake, is a strong indication of someone who doesn't take responsibility for their actions. It's a behavior that can damage relationships and hinder personal growth. Protect your peace. In navigating interactions with individuals who consistently shirk accountability, it's essential to prioritize self-protection and assertiveness. Here's the thing. You cannot force someone to take responsibility for their actions, but you can set boundaries to safeguard your own well-being. Therefore, trust your instincts and don't allow yourself to be manipulated by their blame-shifting tactics. Also, encourage open communication and hold them accountable when necessary, but also be prepared to disengage if their behavior becomes toxic or harmful. Remember, your worth is not determined by their refusal to accept responsibility, and surrounding yourself with supportive and accountable individuals is crucial for your own growth and happiness.
Yar.
Man, like that one was just like, bleh. So it was just, that one, man. I'm so glad we found that article, because it's like all the things that you kind of know. But when you read it on a screen, you're just like, yes. Like, it's just like freaking, it's like a hit parade. It's like one after another. All the yeses. Holy shnikes. So, which one did you want to do now? Did you want to read
Shnikes? That was Tommy Boy, wasn't it?
Holy shnikes. Yes, that was Tommy Boy.
Hey, War Daddy.
War Daddy. Well, hey, there's a lot of times I fucked up. That's part of growing. Ladies and gentlemen, War Daddy is in the chat. We may commence all this good stuff. Not that we haven't been doing it. We're just going to continue doing it, but we're just acknowledging that he's in the chat. So we're moving along. Anyway, so do you want to? Which one do you want to read next? Do you want to do the Plainview.com or do you want to do the Ross Center? Which one did you want to do? Insert Jeopardy theme here.
Bing bong, bing bong, bing bong, bing.
There we go.
I'm sorry, I might have fizzled out for a minute.
A bit, yeah. We got dead air, man. That's not good for a podcast. Figure that shit out.
It's not.
Okay, so the Plainview.com was the how to combat blame culture with true team empowerment. And that kind of goes along with it's kind of talking more like the corporate kind of world, but it does have some good, talking points in there. And then the other one was the other one was what is self-blame and why do I feel it around my family? So
I say we go with the family.
Okay. I'll start reading that one. So if you want to pull that up, I already got that locked and loaded. We'll drive on from there. So this is from the rosscenter.com. This article was from December 16th of 2022. It's called What is Self-Blame and Why Do I Feel It Around My Family? So for many of us, the holidays are a time to come together and appreciate our family and friends. But this also serves as an occasion where we can become reminded of traumatic... Oh, that's right. Okay, I remember this one now. Traumatic experiences or feelings regarding certain people. It's natural for us to blame ourselves during these moments. However, it is essential to remember that complex familial dynamics are never the fault of just one person alone. Although it may seem natural to do so at first, self-blame, also known as self-doubt. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Does not have... Sorry, I just...
Did he just... I just thought what he said.
Hold on.
I was looking at the other screen, then I look over, I'm like...
No, you're not dead air. You're always welcome, War Daddy.
That's right.
Sorry, let me go back. So, self-blame, also known as self-doubt, does not have to define our experiences during this festive season if we put conscious effort into working through any negative emotions that come up. Curbing such self-blame reactions are beneficial in learning how best to move forward from those tense scenarios. Now, I know this is talking about family, but we can also look at this from the perspective of like the family of, your military family, looking at people you served with, guys that were in your squad, your team, your unit, whatnot. So there is some, kind of use your imagination, stretch this out just a little bit because it will become a little bit apparent here in a second. What you got?
I will admit, man, like I have issues with that self-blame stuff, man. And it
oh yeah.
And especially when, things go wrong, it's, I mean, God bless my wife that she deals with me the way she does.
Shout out to your wife because she's a real chick, man. She's a real one. You got a good one right there, bro.
Yeah, man. Because I can be a shit sometimes, and
I appreciate you. I see you. I recognize your feelings, and I appreciate the fact that you're taking accountability of that. So thank you for being a stand-up fucking dude there, my guy.
Hey man, like I said, I try, but I recognize I can. Like I said, I recognize I can be a shit sometimes, and I know when things tend to go wrong, I have a tendency a lot to kind of be like, exactly what I said. Like I am a shit. Like why did I let this happen? You know what I mean?
You get ramped up, you get animated. I've seen it, and I'm not passing judgment or blame. I'm just saying I've seen it, so I can recognize it. I'm just like, hey man, have a Snickers. You're getting a little angry.
Yeah. So it does. It gets pretty bad, and I'll sit there, you know, basically saying like, I messed this up, I did this wrong, and you know, this whole day, this whole situation's my fault. Um, I am like the king of that shit. So I already this is why I chose this article,
Yeah.
because when I re-looked at it, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's what that was this one.
Oh,
So
for sure. When
yeah,
I
man.
read this, I could see that this probably struck a chord with you. You're just like, they're talking about me. Fuck. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I'll say this as a side note, dude. Like, that's the generation that we grew up in. It's like I mean, hell, like when you do something, when I do something, I'm just like, oh, good job there, dumbass. Like, it's that little jab where like you're getting rid of that frustration of it not working out. You're accepting blame on yourself, but you also are going to correct it and then move on. You know,
Yeah.
that's just like my coping mechanism for dealing with that kind of shit. And I'm sure in a way it kind of is for you too when you're like saying you're getting ramped up and shit. So
Yeah.
it happens. It's normal. We accept it and we get on with our lives. Back to the
Accept and
articles.
move on.
So, blaming oneself is a common response to having a traumatic experience. This is especially true even when the traumatic event occurs through no fault of our own. We didn't ask for it, we didn't want it, and we certainly weren't okay with it happening. And while this self blaming response isn't logical, the self blame can run deep, cold, and hard to shake. There are many reasons why we take on this blame, whether it's a single event or prolonged childhood trauma or fucked up shit that happens in the military. Here's are just a few
Facts.
explanations. One, one, we don't have the capacity to see the flaws and wounds of our caregivers when we're young. Developmentally, we do not possess the ability to step out of our own experience and perceive that our caregivers aren't capable of meeting our needs. We can't see beyond ourselves, so blaming someone else isn't even possible. Because
Mm.
we are not capable of assigning blame elsewhere, the pain has to be directed somewhere, and that is often
And see,
inward.
this part right here. This is one of the like. This is why I liked this article so much. Like because I see a lot. You know, like when I was a kid, dude. Like and I'm not gonna throw names out there, but I was, without going into a lot of detail, I was put under a lot of, undue stress as a kid in
Do me a
terms
favor.
of
Click off the article for just a second so we can we can see each other.
get poisonal. Sorry.
Yeah. I want
You
to.
know, nice War Daddy. I just looked at the.
This
What
is
the
why I
hell?
love. This is why I love this guy. He tells it like it is. Pulls no punches. Gives no fucks.
Just so everybody knows, that's what he said.
Yeah. Anyway,
um.
continue. Continue on
So,
before you lose your point.
so yeah. When I was young, I was put under some fairly undue stress. And I'm trying to word it in a way where no implications are made and no, but I was put through a lot. And you know when it like especially when it comes to like like how things went for me as a kid, my dad leaving and all that other shit. um there was a lot of, I ended up blaming myself for a lot of things. um well, why was I, why was, why did I do what I did and end up, getting hurt? Why did, he leave? Why did this? Why did that? And
Yeah.
you know, it's something that I've had to deal with for years and years. Um, where I only just probably within the last like maybe 8 or so years started to just kind of get over it. Um, when you deal with trauma as a kid, you know, you you don't have a real way of coping with it. You know what I mean? Um Oh damn, this is what War Daddy says.
Yeah.
Can
It's a different
I will
time back
say, yeah,
then. I
that's
get it. It's a different
yeah.
time in the 70s, man. But
Um, but yeah, like um, it sucked, man. Because when you grow up blaming yourself, and for a long time, like I did, um, for a lot of things that went wrong, and realistically speaking, like I mean, there was no. I was a kid. I could not control what the hell was going on. You know what I mean?
sure.
Uh, um, I feel like that kind of self blame, self doubt, that kind of stuff. It multiplies when you get older and things get out of control. When Because once you feel like you're in control and things get out of control, you start to get really down on yourself, because it's almost as if like you've dealt with the things that you dealt with for so long that you know you start to feel like you don't know what to do to make it right. So your
Okay.
default is, well, this is my fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I did this. I messed up. I ruined this part of my family. I ruined this. I ruined that. I led to this person walking out. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's almost like a default. Like, this went wrong, so bloop bloop, back into self blame mode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it does. It sucks, man. And it's only been like I said, over the last, I would say, 8 or so years, where you know and me and Tisha tell you, like, we've had fights over it and all that other stuff, and we've had to you know talk about it, and talk about it and talk about it, and it's only just recently where I'm starting to really kind of push past it. You know what I mean? And it's but we'll continue on, because we still got a little bit more to read, but it's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy.
So the second point they were talking about, self blame is a survival response. If we blame the caregiver at the root of our trauma, it undercuts our perception that
Yeah.
they can provide for us. That, in turn, implies that we are alone in this world without the ability to take care of ourselves. By blaming ourselves, we maintain the perception that we're still in control of the situation and ultimately safe, even when we're not. The message of self blame commonly travels with us into adulthood, manifesting into thoughts such as, I'm not good enough, or I'm unlovable. Number three, when a traumatic event
I've been
occurs,
there.
Number three, when a
Definitely
traumatic
been there.
event occurs, we are hardwired to respond rapidly on an unconscious level. Unknowingly, our nervous system is constantly scanning the environment for potential danger. It's like a personal alarm system. When the alarm goes off, we assess the situation with a rapid fire response. Do I escape, fight, or hide? Because we are not aware of this near instantaneous assessment, it often leaves one thinking that more could have been done. The truth is that we likely did everything that could have been done in an attempt to keep ourselves safe, even if bad things still happened. Not being aware that this action unconsciously takes place leads us to conclude that we could have done better or more, thus placing the blame on ourselves. Not everyone's self blame fits neatly into one of these categories, since each person's experience is different and carries its own complexities. With the guidance of an experienced trauma informed therapist, you can explore your own narrative and how to begin shifting your perception. Self blame has been the potential to keep you stuck in pain and trauma. There is a way to heal safely. There is help. There is hope. So I think I am going to go ahead and read that last one because I think this is a good one for just kind of people that it's kind of all over the place. Whether it's military, whether it's workplace, whether it's personal. I am going to go ahead and read that one as well. Yes, I agree with that statement there, War Daddy. We're all screwed up. It's just a question of how badly and what are you doing to fix it. So. And again, that goes back to the whole like admitting that there is fault and that you're not perfect and that, hey, I need to improve upon this. What can I improve? What can I sustain? So let me click out of that one. How to combat blame culture with true team empowerment. This is from blog.planview.com. This is published March 14th of 2020. Positive company culture begins from the top down. The way business executives behave trickles down to middle management, which trickles down to the company's frontline staff. Research shows that a toxic company culture can and will negatively affect your business's productivity, employee retention, and bottom line. One of the most common detriments to a positive company culture is blame culture in the workplace. If you're a manager wondering how to empower employees, the first step is to identify and eliminate any blame tactics from your leadership style. First step to achieving this is knowing exactly what blame culture looks like. The second step is to foster a culture of accountability in its place. Today's article lays out both steps so you can successfully remove any blame from your management process. Now, again, when you're talking, this is management, yes, but at the same time, this could also be dealing with your children, how you are managing them in their growth and their upbringing and whatnot. This could be military management. This could be civilian. This could be anything. This could just be dealing with people in your everyday life, okay? If you're a company leader and you can't distinguish between blame and accountability, there's a good chance you're creating a culture based on blame. Blame refers to holding a single person or team accountable for why something went wrong. You can tell blame culture is present when one team member or group is singled out for doing something wrong. Instead of blaming processes, leadership blames people. This creates a culture of hiding mistakes rather than learning from them. The major difference is that blame is holding someone responsible for what went wrong. Accountability, on the other hand, is assigning responsibility to a certain person. Accountability is a much more positive action because rather than attacking someone for past actions, it focuses on the individual's power over the future. If you've ever put someone at fault for something that went wrong in your business, chances are you're guilty of creating blame culture in the workplace. Below are a few tips for counteracting this toxic management style by establishing a culture of accountability. This will be a short one, folks. It's just got four steps on here. So how to empower employees through accountability. Learn to delegate. If you don't provide your team with clear expectation, there's more room for error. Effectively delegating means thoroughly communicating with your team about the expected results, providing them whatever resources they need to achieve those results, then checking in on progress regularly and providing feedback. The blame game begins when things don't go as planned. Avoid hiccups by clearly defining expectations and checking in on them along the way, while at the same time trusting employees to get the job done without micromanaging. Dude, we could have a freaking week-long conversation on micromanaging and why it's not always effective for some people. Celebrate mistakes. As mentioned earlier, it helps to see failures as learning opportunities. When blame is the primary driver of your business, your team will spend more time trying to cover their mistakes and their asses than learning from them. Positive company culture. Yeah, exactly. A positive company culture never blames one person for what went wrong, but looks at where the system broke down. So that's a huge one, like the learning opportunities and whatnot. Trying to find where you can, don't blame the person. Just look at it and go, okay, what can we do better? What can we fix here? That's important. That's like we say in the military. You mess up in training, so when you do it in real life, you're not messing up. You do it. If you're gonna fuck up, you're gonna blame. You're gonna make a mistake, do it in training.
Fail to succeed, huh?
Yeah, sounds good. Eliminate emotion. This one right here. Oh, this one stuck with me because a lot of people they get emotional, and the emotions run them and not the other way around. Emotions can run high when things go wrong, but as a leader, it's up to you to maintain positive energy. Otherwise, negativity will trickle down to every single member of your team. Feedback with emotion quickly becomes blame. Practical feedback let me try it again. Practical feedback with logical steps for change, on the other hand, becomes invaluable guidance.
So 30 seconds extra on this little part right here. Like,
what you got?
I find myself to be a very logical thinker, and I've noticed that yes, micromanaging more than a week. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Sweat now, bleed later.
Bleed later. Yep. What you call it? But yeah, like I've noted, like in many leadership roles, like obviously, you're gonna feel for people, you're gonna feel, slighted by people, obviously, all those things, right? The biggest thing you can do is to remain logical in the way you proceed with any actions you take in the workplace. And that's as an employee, that's as a manager, it doesn't matter. Have to. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I chime in here? And so, without getting into too much of the contemporary political nonsense, the kerfuffle, the dumb dickery, that's why I just don't understand how people can think they get their point across. Like the days of two people having a discussion about something and disagreeing, but doing it in a respectful manner. When you get somebody and they just start looking at you going,
those days
just screaming because you're not listening. It's like they just use these like ridiculous scare tactics and all this like nonsensical stuff in the hope that you'll just walk away because you didn't get your point across. You didn't have an opportunity to explain your point of view because it's different from there. It's all emotion, and it's just like there's times when emotions are okay, but when you're trying to freaking explain or communicate with somebody, not always the case.
Exactly.
So that's my piece on that. No, you told it how it was, good, bad, or other, and I appreciated that. You always communicated, so I appreciate that.
Damn right. That's how you got to do it, man.
The fourth and final topic of this article: don't be the winner, be a leader. Blame culture in the workplace often comes from insecure leaders looking. Dude, I don't have any more tea. I don't have anything to wet my whistle. Okay, I've been reading a lot. Shut your mouth. Let me freaking finish this shit out. Blame culture in the workplace often comes from insecure leaders looking to deflect from their own mistakes. By blaming someone else for what went wrong, you don't have to take accountability for your own poor leadership, or as we call it, the leadership. As a leader, it's okay, even inevitable, to make mistakes. By accepting that you are part of each problem, you're better equipped to avoid the same problem in the future. And that kind of self-introspection trickles down. If everyone on the team asks, what could I have done better? There's a good chance that next time everyone will do better.
Damn right.
All right, we can close that out. Yes, they want you to ignore them. I have rum. But so with all the articles that we've read, I mean, there's some pretty consistent things here. People avoiding blame, what to look for, red flags. But the other things that I wanted to say, as we talked about here, when you're taking blame as a leader, that's part of it. You accept responsibility. Responsibility, blame are kind of intrinsically linked. You're to blame for having a good outcome, you're to blame if there's a bad outcome. It falls on your shoulders squarely. But sometimes, and this is something that I was thinking about, later in the week too, is that you can't always, like I said earlier in the article, internalizing it can be very problematic because you're trying to find somewhere direction to go.
You become bitter. You kind of wear your emotions on your shoulder a lot more. I've been there. It
Yes.
sucks. Try not to go there.
And there's and sometimes there's no one to blame.
That's right.
All right. So I mean, blame's a real bastard. I mean, it has many ugly faces, and sometimes it's just the one looking at you in the mirror and stuff. I mean, we've all had those moments where we've blamed ourselves for something. When I was a kid, I was at my uncle's house, and my younger brother was playing basketball. He had a basketball hoop set up next to the pool, and I'm not sure if I don't think I threw it in the pool on purpose. I don't recall, or if it was just an accident. But I remember my brother going to reach for it, and he fell in the pool, and he didn't know how to swim at the time. So, like, my uncle had to stop carving. The turkey came out, like, swooped him out of there. My mom ended up coming out of the door. She fell down. She skinned up her arm real bad, had a really nasty abrasion on her arm. And, like, dude, I blamed myself for a long fucking time, dude. It really just ate away at my soul. And I was just like, ugh. And, like, that whole self-doubt thing, dude, it's a real motherfucker. Like, it really is. Like,
yeah,
you have to be very, 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 very careful because it can lead you down some really dark paths. You can have some dark thoughts and just get down into this, pit of wallow and despair. And you just got to be careful. And that's the kind of times that you reach out to somebody and talk about it and just have that difficult conversation with somebody, not trying to shirk away from the blame or just shirk away from the accountability or responsibility, but just say, even in that situation, like I just mentioned, like have that talk with somebody. Just be like, hey man, I need to talk about this. Like, I need to know what, if anything, I could have done better from your point of view, from your opinion. And sometimes there isn't. Things happen that weren't your fault. And, not to bring up anything bad, but I think about, what you mentioned about with you and Paul. I mean, it was just bad timing. He was there a month after you. It's somebody that we knew and went to high school with, and it just hits different when it's somebody you know. Because what would have happened? I mean, you could war game this 1,000 different ways, dude. And I've thought about this a lot whenever you mention this. But like, what if you had stayed? What if you went on that rotation with him? What if something happened to you instead? Like, it's awful that if something happened to Paul, that he's no longer with us, because he was just such a fantastic dude. He was just a great guy, a very just a young man worth knowing, and had just the world of potential in front of him. And you can sit here and war game, but like, not to do the whole like Marvel multiverse thing, but like you're just trying to find that perfect reaction, this, that, and the other, and it's like, it's the things that happen, they are what they are, and it's sometimes like you want to blame somebody, blame the fucker that made the device that that killed him. So that's
every damn day.
That's how you do that. So, but anyway, folks, this has been our conversation on the topic of blame. This is probably one of the better conversations I think that we've had in a while, because we kind of went pretty deep on this and shared some personal stories and whatnot. So,
and I, it's crazy is I don't think we expected to go as deep as we did.
I don't think so either. Like, it was just kind of like we started talking. Next thing you know, we're just like, I've never told that story to too many people about Jamie going into the pool and almost drowning, and my uncle saving his life, and I just
it's rough, man.
Yeah, so I sure as hell never told that live on the internet either. So, but anyway, like I said, that's our conversation. If you have anything you want to add to it, please feel free to go into the comment section for YouTube on this video. feel free to leave some comments or whatnot. All that kind of good stuff. We'd love to hear feedback. We'd love to hear, your stories as well. Kind of gives us validation that we're doing something that needs to be done for our community and whatnot. So
That's right.
So if you don't have anything further, I'm going to start shutting this out. So for those of you that are new to the show, if you haven't watched this before, thank you so much for taking the time to either stop, give a watch, watch it, listen to it, all that good stuff. You are the ones that help to drive the show along. Alamo and I have known each other since high school. We've been friends for a long time. We work together. See you later, War Daddy. Love you too, buddy. Alamo and I used to work together after high school, and we had a lot of fun. We had this guy that worked with us named John. John was just a funny ass dude, funny fucker. We used to do some dumb shit at work, like the kind of stuff you're like, I'm surprised we still work here. Like, how are we not fired? How did we get away with this? But we all kind of left, went on different things. We fell out of touch. Well, Alamo and I were in the process of kind of coming up with. We discussed possibly getting back together and doing something. And when we were discussing that, we found out that John chose to solve a temporary problem with a permanent solution, and he committed suicide. And that was just so fucking tragic because John was just like one of the greatest dudes. He'd give you the shirt off his back. And that was, for me, that was kind of like the catalyst moment where it's like, this is what we're doing. This is what needs to be done. Like, let's fucking go. So in the process of kind of discovering what our identity was, what our message was, we came up with the Battle Bros Code. And what the Bros Code is 4 easy things you can do to just keep yourself around longer, to fight to the next day, to fight to the next day, to fight to the next day. Okay. So if you can remember the letters BROS, you're going to be just fine. Okay. We're both infantry guys. We like to keep things simple. All right. Because you remember simple things a lot easier. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So knuckle draggers unite.
So B, that's a t-shirt. Yeah, we definitely need each other, War Daddy. I appreciate you stopping by again.
Damn right.
Be tenacious. No matter what you choose to do in life, do it to the utmost of your abilities and your focus and your skill level. Be tenacious. Go out there and give it your all. Don't, it's like that kind of cliche statement of like football players, leave it all out in the field. It's kind of like that. Don't go back and say, oh, if I'd only done better. No, go out there and give it the 100% of attention and effort and focus that you can. In the words of the great Ron Swanson, don't half-ass 2 things, whole ass 1 thing. And I really don't need to say anything else about that because it worked. So moving along. R, refuse to surrender. When things get tough, okay, keep going. Don't just let that, they got too hard. I'm going to pack it in and you're just going to tuck my tail between my legs and go back. No.
That's what she said.
Like we talked about in the articles earlier. Don't surrender from having a difficult conversation. Go have the difficult conversation. Improve the situation. Improve the relationship you have between 2 people. Don't surrender. Say, oh, it's too hard. I don't want to do it. I'll just send a note. I'll say something behind the power of a keyboard. Whatever. Okay? When things happen, things are going to get tough. Refuse to surrender. It shows your fortitude. It shows your willingness to try to push through the hard times. Okay? Obliterate your obstacles. Kind of going with the last one that we talked about. Obstacles come up all the time. Don't let those define you. Oh, I got to here, but I quit. I got to this, and I wasn't able to make it all the way. Whatever that obstacle is. I mean, it could be a difficult conversation. It could be, coming to terms with how you really feel about something. It could be a physical obstacle. Like we talk about all the time. Sometimes you have to breach a door. Sometimes you have to clear a minefield with some Bangalores and a bunch of explosives. Sometimes you got to breach a wall of a temporary structure by driving an armored vehicle through it. Okay, cool. Whatever that looks like. Do what you got to do. Obliterate your obstacles and continue on. Oscar Mike and continue on to the objective. S. Most important of the bros code is S. Seek out help in a time of need. Like we mentioned earlier with our friend John, if one of the things that I blame on myself, and I kind of did, I don't know how Alma feels, but I imagine something close is that we all fell out of touch. John was a guy that deserves to be here to tell his story because he had some funny damn stories.
Mm-hmm.
Just you'd tell a story and you would just be cracking up within 5 minutes, like no joke.
Like
But
the knife in the leg.
the knife in the leg or the
All I remember is, yeah, I was cutting the carpet and Tisley talks about how it did this in his leg.
or when he's choking at your wedding.
I saved his life, guys.
Oh shit! But yeah, I blame myself for us falling out of touch a little bit, and
Yeah.
I'm reminded, I'm reminded with John from what ultimately happened with John that I need to do a better job of reaching out to my friends more and checking on them like they check on me when I'm not doing too good. So just know that help comes in a lot of different forms. It can be a family member, it can be a friend, it can hell. Sometimes my daughter sees that I'm getting upset and she just kind of reaches over and she holds my hand and I'm just like, she just looks at me, she goes, "You're getting upset." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And she just kind of helps to keep me cool and collected and stuff. And that's like, it's amazing how that kid knows how to do that. At 10 years old, she could just pick up on those cues and just be like, "I got you, Dad." My child is doing that for me. That just is insane. She's there to help me.
Is amazing at empathizing.
Yes.
So
empathy is such a wonderful trait for people, man. I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
But again, whatever that help looks like, whether it's professional therapy, whether it's just sitting there cracking a beer and talking to somebody about something that's bugging you or a bad memory or like, the anniversary cycle of something coming up of losing somebody, like
January 8th.
Yeah. Or in Paul's case, August 8th, which is 3 weeks before my birthday. So it's like, do not blame yourself. We need to ask for assistance. Absolutely. Whatever that helps looks like, don't be afraid to reach out and use it. It is a resource. I think one of the common themes nowadays is there are resources available for everybody, regardless of whatever walk of life you come from, whether you're a veteran, whether you're homeless, whether you're down on your luck. There's resources out there, okay? For those that are thinking that you don't have resources, there are a couple that we can use. There's one. There's just several different ways you can get to it. If you're ever considering taking your life, if you're ever considering going down a dark path, if you find yourself down a dark path and you're ever considering, hey, maybe I'll just save everybody the trouble and I'll take myself out of the equation, stop. That's bullshit. You're wrong. Beat your face, dick, whatever. No. Okay? If you feel like you're going to harm yourself, there are options out there. And this National Suicide Prevention Hotline, excuse me, I'm fucking tired, man. It's been a long day. I'm sorry. I should fuck that up.
I feel you.
The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is one of those resources. Okay, you can contact them one of two ways. You can call the 800 number, which is 1-800-273-8255. Again, that's 1-800-273-8255. Just remember that the last four numbers spell the word TALK. TALK. 1-800-273-TALK. Or you can also reach out to them by dialing 988. Again, that's 988 from your phone. And then on both those options, I believe you press 1 to talk to somebody immediately. They're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay, if you're not fortunate enough or able to talk to somebody close to you, a coworker, a family member, a friend, a battle buddy, somebody you were with in the military, reach out and call them. Okay, it's better to reach out to a stranger than not to reach out at all. All right. So everybody deserves to be here. Everybody deserves to have their story told, and we are doing our very best to try to stop this right here. On
everybody
average,
deserves the idea and the person that you are.
Absolutely. Okay. 22 a day is on average the number of military veterans that commit suicide, and it's too many. So that's our mission to try to stop that. Way too damn many. It's our mission to try to stop that, to try to do what we can to slow that, to curb it, to get it to exist, to cease to exist altogether. Okay, so just remember, like we talked about, be tenacious, refuse to surrender, obliterate your obstacles, seek out help in a time of need. Okay, if you can remember those 4 things, you're going to have a better chance of keeping yourself in the fight and ready to move on to the next day. Okay, we want everybody to be here as long as possible. All right.
Damn right.
So at this point, I've said my piece. I'm going to hand it off to Alamo. He's going to handle all the social media stuff. We're going to have a few, things we got to say at the end, and then we're going to close out. Tell everybody
Yes,
good night.
sir.
See you next week. So take it away.
All right, ladies and gents, if y'all would like to catch us over on the social medias, we have multiple places you can do that. We have facebook.com/battlebros.podcast. We also have the Instagram, where you can catch us over there at battlebros_podcast. And we also have X, formerly known as Twitter, at Battle Bros PC. That's once again at Battle Bros PC. You can contact us there via any of the instant messengers that actually work, and that's in those applications or systems. If you would like to contact us a little bit more privately, if you're saying, "Hey, I got an issue, guys. Hey, can I just talk to you guys? Can I just have a conversation?" We have our own Gmail, which is battlebrospc@gmail.com. That's once again battlebrospc@gmail.com, where you can contact us 24/7 whenever you want. We do check the email, so don't hesitate. Even if it's for a family member or a friend, whoever the heck it is, drop us a message. Let us know, because it is important for us, right, to keep everybody and anybody around. Okay, that goes. I mean, hey, you, doesn't matter who you are, you deserve to be here. So we want to make sure that we do the best we can to do that, and you can't try to fix a situation without trying to reach out. So that's why we have all these different platforms where you can actually do that. Also, if you would like to catch us on anything other than the YouTube, if you're meaning if you want to catch us not live, you can do that on multiple places. You could do that at Spotify. You can do that on iHeartRadio. You can basically do that on any of your favorite audio platforms, and you can find us there. Trying to think. Just make sure that when you go ahead and look us up, again, there are ways for you to contact us via the instant messaging on those things. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. Sharing is caring, by the way. Sharing is very important, and commenting.
And hit the notification bell.
Buzzing. Ding ding. So, and commenting as well. Commenting definitely helps the algorithm pick us up and helps make YouTube realize, hey, we're worth sharing. So yeah, definitely.
Because sharing is caring. Yes.
Yes, right. Other than that, I got nothing else.
So the last thing we want to share, we want to give some love to a good friend of ours, Amelia. She has her own business on the side that we have both utilized the products for. You got that pulled up yet? Oh, yeah. So she does her own Etsy.
There it is. I was gonna say, shit, where's her? There it is. Haha.
So please, if you would, check out etsy.com/shop/heart to hand homestead. She makes a bunch of her own homemade, handmade soaps and whatnot. The stuff is awesome. We have both used it. We would not endorse it if we did not like it.
Yeah.
But also another thing too, I just want to say to my lovely
sister, shaving with butter.
It is. But I also want to take the opportunity to say on her birthday, happy birthday, Amelia. I love you. You have been my friend and sister for a long time. So this is just my way of embarrassing you a little bit. Congratulations on being awesome. I don't.
Happy
I kind of pulled down,
birthday to you.
and we don't need to
Happy
do the rest of that.
birthday
We don't need to do the rest of that. Okay,
to
we're good.
you.
We're good. We're moving on. We're moving
Happy
on.
birthday, dear Amelia. Happy birthday to you.
Okay, that wasn't that bad. So now I get to tell her to listen to this for that reason alone. It's fantastic. But again, I just want to say happy birthday, Amelia. We love you, and thank you for supporting our show and everything else, and giving us feedback when we need all that good stuff. So,
damn right.
So we're gonna cut this out for the evening. Thank you again for everybody that stopped by and gave us a watch or a listen. Just remember that sometimes it's not necessarily you that needs to hear the message that we're talking about. Sometimes you can pass it along, pay it forward, and pass it along, and this message will get to a person that might need to hear this message. Okay,
That's
so
right, man.
Don't be afraid to talk to people, and word of mouth is still the biggest way that people learn about our show. Even though we're in our 5th season on episode 90, which is just wild.
10 away from the centennial.
Yeah, man, we're gonna do something awesome for 100. But anyway, as we said, we appreciate everybody stopping by and supporting the channel, supporting the show. Without you guys, we would not have a show to do. So thank you for being a part of this journey with us. This has been episode 90, talking about the subject of blame on the Battle Bros podcast with Mac and Alamo. We thank you for stopping by. We'll see you next time. And just remember, be tenacious, refuse to surrender, obliterate your obstacles, and seek out help in a time of need. If you can do that, you're going to have a pretty good shot at being A-okay. So until the next time, catch you down the road.
Battle Bros out.